Let's see what YouTube thinks is going on. Well, I heard Jitsi, so it's clearly not. Yeah, and I can hear myself on there. So Sam's got some audio problems. So I guess I will, while he looks at those, I will hit up Omar and Rhino and see if they're coming.
So you still can't hear me?
There you go.
Oh.
I think that they both accepted. Let me check the calendar. Well, Omar said he was going to be. I don't remember that, whether he accepted or not. Oh yeah, Jason's supposed to be here. Oh, Rhino. I thought Rhino was going to be here. And then he declined after that later. So, well, we're not going to get very far on Rhino stuff without Rhino, so I'll just take that off the agenda. Well, I don't have to take it off, but I can just move it down to things to discuss next time. Well, what I will do is we can talk about a couple of things. Hopefully, Omar's able to come. If not, we'll have to find another time because there's not a whole lot we can do without him. So Rhino and I have been talking about elections, and I think we've kind of both decided that it probably doesn't make sense to do this year, but it probably makes sense to do that next year. Does anybody have any questions, comments, concerns about that?
So what are the elections for? Like, I don't really understand it.
So we have a global leader, and then in Rhino's case, we have a U.S. leader. So hopefully we get to a point to where we have multiple, organizations. So, I mean, I'd love for Sova to be able to bring back Clone Commons or something. He's got family stuff, so I don't know how much he's going to be able to be a part of that, but even if he just was in an administrative, like an advisory capacity, I think that would be useful. Germany has a big, Berlin, I guess, mostly, really. I mean, at least as far as global appeal, Berlin has a recognized electronic scene, so I'm sure there are electronic musicians outside of Berlin, but I think the overlap between electronic music and Creative Commons music is quite strong. So I think it would be good to have a German organization. And I don't know that it necessarily needs to be German. I mean, it could be EU or Europe. I mean, we don't have to necessarily limit ourselves to political boundaries, though. Political boundaries make a lot of sense as far as, like, if you're going to have an event and people need passports and visas and stuff like that, to some sort of understanding of the logistics from that standpoint makes some sense. There's probably for a lot of language groups, there's probably some benefit in having like a language-based group instead of a political group. I'm not sure that's true with, I mean, I think most of the German population or the German speaking population centers, most of those also speak English. So I don't know strategically how much sense that makes. But again, it might be something that we could do easily to start with, just as like hey, this is what we do for like, the German speaking language, and then, maybe Mandarin or Arabic or Spanish. Those are the big three, or Russian. Those four would be the four that I would think we're having like. There are a lot of speakers of those languages that don't speak English, and also they're just like gigantic as far as population wise. So politically, China and Russia are, well, China in particular, I think Russia less so. You see a lot of Russian musicians on Bandcamp. So I think, I don't know how well integrated that they are, but they're participating. But China is kind of a black hole, unfortunately. Not entirely. I mean, there are some notable exceptions, but largely the Chinese is its own little walled garden for obvious reasons. Spanish, there's huge Spanish. I mean, Spanish speaking population is well participated. That's not the right way to use that that verb, but there's a lot of Spanish speaking musicians and Spanish language music in the Creative Commons scene. Spain, the net label scene in Spain is per capita maybe the best in the world. Quite excellent. Again, I don't know that we do as good of a job integrating them into what is largely an English language based scene. I know that Stofel's got a German language podcast, and there were in the past Spanish language podcasts, but I'm not sure if those still exist. Commons Baby was a big Spanish language podcast for a while. I don't know if you guys are really.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, there might be others. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think somebody, leading, and I don't, right now all we have is the U.S. So I think anybody who's willing to take up the mantle, we can kind of build the organization around what we think we can do with that. The U.S. one. Rhino has some specific stuff that he's already doing that I think we need to integrate. I think ideally we would have somebody else leading that org and then let Rhino do his thing. And that person could be me. I don't think being like only speaking English, I'm probably the best person suited for leading a global organization. But right now, Rhino and me is who we got. So, we'll do the best we can.
Right.
But yeah, so I think.
So how would the voting work?
Well, that will depend on whoever ends up running that election, how that would work. I mean. There are some I posted the other day let me see if I can find this. There's some software meant to for voting. One of the problems, or not necessarily a problem, but one of the things we just have to consider is that like things cost money, and the voting software is potentially one of them. I mean, we could just have people email in. I mean, I think you would want some way to verify that people aren't voting more than once. So email is one way to do that. I mean, people could make additional email addresses, but I don't know if
Do you
that's
allow a person to vote for themselves?
well. I mean, yeah. I mean, most elections people are allowed to vote for themselves, so I think that would
Yeah.
that would make sense. Where is chat? I've already got it up. So this election runner was one thing that I had looked at. I mean, $19 is not, you know, a huge amount of money, but I think once you know, every, you know, like if every decision you make you end up spending $19, then you know, that's probably not ideal. And I haven't looked at. It's up to 100 votes, so that's probably, I would guess that's where we're at. You could do it. It's free for up to 20 votes. I would like to think we'd get more than 20. I don't know if that would be true or not. But yeah, I think, I mean, you know, if it were like just me, I'd probably just use Google because it's free, but I know people don't want to use Google. I mean, like, I don't think that personally, like, the results of this vote are like a sensitive thing that you have to worry about training Google's AI with, you know, but yeah, I mean, I think it's good to look at alternatives. So, but if we're waiting for until it would be, I guess probably July. Actually, let me look at the calendar here. I was going to say July 13th. This year, we happen to have Net Label Day fall on a Sunday. I don't know how we would want to do that. So next year, Net Label Day will be on a Monday. Although the start of the Global Net Label Day will be the 13th for everybody on this call. So, you know, we could just, you know, run the election that weekend or something. You know, this year, you know, having it on a Saturday. I mean, we could. I mean, it's electronic. People could theoretically vote. I mean, that's another thing too. Is like, I mean, we could just decide we're always going to do it on the 13th, the day before Net Label Day, or always run it for 48 hours. You know, the 13th and the 14th or something. I don't know. There's a lot of sort of like little details to figure out about that. But yeah, if we wait until next July and then Rhino and I sort of try to figure out how this thing will actually work for not quite a year and a half, year and a quarter, and then we do the election, then it's not something we really need to figure out right at the moment. So any other questions?
Not
I guess
really.
the main thing, are people cool with waiting for a year and a quarter? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I see some heads nodding. Yes. Okay. Let's move on the agenda. I'm not on my right tab anymore. I guess actually what I can do, like I did last time, is I know there's not as many agenda items this time, but let me share my screen and people can. That's not the share screen button. Share screen. Nope, that's sharing tab. That's not what I want to do. Maybe that's what maybe I have to move it over to this. Oh, no, that's just the Chrome tabs, Windows. Yeah, here we go. So you guys should see the pricing guide now. Yes. Okay. So, and then I was just looking at, well, not there. Must have been this one. I don't know. Somewhere I was looking at 2025, but I don't see it up there now. All right. Here's the fun. We can have YouTube Inception here. But oops, that's so anybody who isn't aware, Sam and I hang out in this I don't know if I can rename this. I'd like to rename it if I can. Yeah, I think maybe that name's stuck, but this is what we use for our CC Music Discord, and then we have our element as well. I guess I can I'll drop this in here for folks. You're not in here, are you, Sam?
No, I don't think so.
I doubt anybody will see that. But in case they do. All right. So I had spoken with Omar. Maybe he got the days mixed up, or maybe something came up about being here. I don't know that there is a whole lot we want to talk about. Unless, William, you want to talk about the Midwest Summit, we could do that because that's kind of part of the Net Label Day festivities. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
Yeah, he's muted.
I can't. I've got the sharing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay, my daughter's playing piano upstairs.
Yes.
So what date is that again? I'm not 100% sure I can make that.
It's July 13th.
Okay.
What I'm gonna try to do is get folks that I'm gonna reach out to folks in the Midwest to give presentations, even if it's just ends up being entirely virtual. If we can just highlight folks in the Midwest, I think that maybe is a start. I'd like to do something in Meat Space, but it's a big country, so it is what it is. And it's the first time we've tried to do anything like this. So I have spent $75, which is not a huge capital outlay. So whatever. Maybe I'll find something else to do with the meeting space upstairs. But yeah, so I've got some people like I want to talk to Ty about. I don't know if he'd want to talk about Mad with Power and like setting up like festivals and things, or if he'd want to talk about. I think he's full time now doing music stuff. So if that's something that he would want to talk about. But either of those, I think, would be topics that people would be interested in. I need to kind of figure out.
Sorry, who is that?
Ty.
I don't have my heads around all the people, and so you say these names. I just think I'm not. I try to make sure I. Yeah.
Yeah. So Ty is the. He runs Mad with Power, which I'll drop a link for that in.
CYE.
Yeah, Ty Christian. He used to be the guy in charge of the Madison Area Music Awards. I don't know if he still does that, or maybe it was Madison Area Music Association. Yeah, the Madison Area Music Association. But then they had the awards. So the Madison Area Music Association Awards, I guess, was the full name, which used to be a big deal. I don't know if it still is. The website is a little funky. I wonder if that's because my protection software is, I don't know what's going on with this, but it's clearly broken. But yeah, Ty Christian used to be, but he's that's him there. He's the lead singer of Lords of the Trident as well, and they are. He was, I don't know how many times he was on Music Monument, but he was on there at least once. Let's see. Yeah, so looks like maybe he was just on there twice. Yeah, so they got a deal with a label because they wanted one of the things is they wanted to be able to release physical releases in Japan. Well, that wasn't something we were able to offer with Block Sonic, or at least not. Basically, like it would depend on the type of release, and we couldn't guarantee it. So some of our Net Label Day releases, I think, have been released in Japan, but.
So they wanted to be able to put out physical records.
Yeah, I mean that's that's something that we do in Block Sonic. So Japan has very specific. It's like that's actually a canvas, not stuff. So we've put out tapes and vinyl, and we actually have, I think, a bunch of our CDs you can buy on demand, but we don't have them on the store because they're not. They're not just like we have stock of these. Okay. This we probably wouldn't have had stock of, but it was a 2020 record store day casualty. So it got dropped when they downsized record store day. One of my colleagues at work recently said that he saw this in at one of the record stores out in the burbs here, which was cool. But anyway, yeah. So Japan, the way their physical releases work is, and if you go to like eBay and like look for like Japanese editions and stuff, you'll see like all these different things have Japanese editions. They require exclusive tracks. So like literally every release in Japan is different than it is anywhere else in the world.
I think I've heard of that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much or if Mike and Ty talked about that. I know Mike and I talked about that, and Mike was just like, "Yeah, I don't know." They had something that was really good for them. So, years ago they decided to go with that. They seemed pretty happy. And Ty did a music video with Archers. What is the name of their?
So did that change something for CC Music? Did they have to?
Yeah, so their label doesn't do CC stuff. Unleash the Archers. Yeah, he recently did their video. So none stuff filmed by Ty Christian. So, he does this like metal coffee. He's basically a metal influencer now. That's basically what his full-time gig is. He's a metal influencer. So he does these like coffee videos where he parodies different. They're not all metal. He did David Bowie. I think David Bowie might be his biggest one. But they go and they order coffee. And you order coffee in the voice of that musician. They're pretty good. You should check them out. But anyway, Ty has been a friend of CC Music for a long time, and I think he'd be willing to I think he's learned a lot over the years, and the things that he's doing with the festivals and being full time is those things are useful whether you're in the CC space or not. They did release, and maybe they'll do this again. But one thing that they did after they signed with the label is, so you can see their timeline here. This was their last like full CC release. Some of these are like singles and covers and stuff. But this was like a Patreon thing where it's all like covers, so it doesn't like, it can't really be CC because they're all they don't have the writing rights for that. And then this was the first full album on their label, which came out in 2018. But then they released this, which is Creative Commons. But this is an acoustic version of all their old tracks, except it's got these 2 covers on it too. But so even after
they did as all rights reserved, and then they did it.
No. These are their previous, like their back catalog. They did like an acoustic. So I don't know if they might do something like that again with more of them, or
the original versions of the songs were not CC.
The original versions were CC, and then they released a acoustic version of the CC stuff. Yeah. So basically, they own the rights to these songs, and the label would own the rights to the other stuff. So, but the point is just being that, like, it's not like they have forgotten the CC world. So I don't know what would happen if they ever left the label. I mean, some labels, will do CC. Again, like a lot of the Spanish labels, they release their stuff online for Creative Commons, and then they do physical releases in Spain. I don't know exactly what the whole deal with the Spanish release cycle is, but like Folk Records, I
have a lot of, I don't understand all this stuff, like the legal and like why people do certain things and why they wouldn't want to do it. Like, I know my wife's favorite band, I like them a lot too, Toes of Wet Sprocket. They redid their albums as CC, and I don't understand, like, what was the point of that? I mean, maybe you don't know, but I just, why would a band do that? Maybe other bands do that. Is that a...
Yeah, I don't know what their...
So, like, if you look at their older albums,
yeah,
they have them on here and they're at CC. I think there was a record company dispute or something, but like Pale, if you look at Pale right there.
Yeah.
So if you go down, it's all CC, I think, yeah. So
yeah.
And that obviously was not originally came out that way, but I don't know why they did it this way. And so to me, like, such a big value would, to have the website up and to be able to, like, have a central place where it's like friendsofccmusic.com or whatever, and to be able to point people to this kind of stuff, to like explain it, or like, why would you want to do it? What are we trying?
Yeah. That, I mean, that is definitely something that we can, I mean, we already have a WordPress up, so it's just a matter of buying a URL at that point.
What's the link for that? I don't even know. What?
It's like BINLS, or I sent it out a long time ago. It's like the way that they do it is like they just add characters. It's got to be that. Yeah. I did a review site and then a regular site too. That's one of them. It's something like this. I can go.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's redirecting to the login. We don't want to do that to actually just see the page. Yeah. So this has got, I mean, so when we were using the CC Music Community Consortium, so I haven't gone back and changed the names to the, yeah. So this is the site that I had done. So I did the review site and I did the main site. So just as like a proof of concept for folks. I'm gonna drop these in there because they don't make the URLs don't make any sense. It used to be WordPress would let you pick your beginning,
Right.
but now they just base it off your username or what your original stuff. So, but I didn't want to like buy the domains if like nobody was interested in doing anything. So, and I wrote, I think I wrote one review. Yeah. So I wrote this one review. So if anybody wants to write reviews,
Okay.
I'll put that up there. So, but yeah, before I forget, so like this is just one of the examples of the Spanish labels that like everything on here is CC, but you can see that like, you know, they have like these physical releases. Now this one, I don't know if it's different because that one's got 11 tracks. This album they released years ago, like 2020.
So Folk Records is Spanish?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I know
so
about them
here's-
from Rhino, but he always complains that their naming is weird because it's always got Folk Records. That's weird.
Oh yeah, so they don't have a label account. So yeah, it's kind of janky.
Got it,
So
got it.
normally if you have, so like for example, Hypnotic Dirge, you know, like if you have a label account, you have the actual musician in that, but like because Folk Records and they've got all these like there's no way that Bandcamp doesn't know that they exist.
Right.
So it must be that Bandcamp is okay with people doing this, you know, with labels like
Weird.
you know, like, hey, if you want to use just a standard musician account and you want your stuff to look kind of janky like this, then sure, go for it. Because you know, like some companies would be like, no, you're a label, you buy a label account. But Bandcamp must just be like, look, we don't care. You get the features of the label if you're a label. We're not in the business of policing whether you're a label or not. I think is probably where Bandcamp stands. So yeah, it is kind of janky. And if they weren't just like releasing amazing stuff, then I would probably just ignore them. But yeah, it's all,
I like
all really professional stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't know what yeah, there's a lot of Spanish labels. There's Salta Magres off the top of my head, Disco Maracas. I don't. Hazard Records. There was a scene in Spain even before CC was a thing. I mean, Hazard Records goes back to like '96 or something like that, and '98. So that's probably part of it, is that they had this like, you know, CDR/E label thing before even Creative Commons. So it's part of like their you know, music culture. But yeah, anyway,
I wonder if a valuable thing would be for me to like try to come up with these questions and then talk to you and all the other people involved in this stuff and be like trying to like, you know, as an outsider, trying to like put it in a format on our website that people would have the questions that you maybe don't realize that people would have.
Well, let me ask you this, because like I think our sort of like
go ahead.
Our like medium term goal and our sort of like, I don't want to say short term necessarily, but just given resource constraints, I kind of feel like most of our resources need to be spent thinking about Net Label Day. And then hopefully this year we can make a big, like we can bring people into Net Label Day. And my hope is that, you know, people being exposed to that will want to get involved.
And that label
So-
day is what day?
July 14th. It's always July 14th.
Always July 14th.
Yeah. So this year it happens to be on a Sunday for us.
And it
Well, I
would
guess
be
it's
the day
Sunday. It's
after the
Sunday for
Minnesota-
everybody, but
Okay.
what was that?
And it would be the day after the Minnesota get together.
Yeah. So that was intentional. So
Okay.
so Japan starts at like I have to look because of I don't think Japan does daylight savings time. So it's either 9, 8, or 10, something like that in the morning. And so that we were gonna do like a kind of like a watch party or a listening party or whatever. I don't know. I need to talk to Cheese and Patsy in Japan whether or not they want to do something. I've been talking to the guys at CC Japan HQ about maybe doing something. We haven't really gotten very far with that because
So I don't
Basically-
know Patsy and I don't know. Like
Yes.
I get so lost like that. I'm sorry, but and then when you're
Yeah.
saying that label day, and you're saying because it's going to start at 9 a.m. in Japan, or
it'll
something?
start 9 a.m. so 9 a.m. Central is
9 a.m.
midnight
Central.
in Japan.
Central. Okay, got it. Midnight.
So the idea was that we would be on, and then so I don't know. It may end up being it might just be Omar. I mean, Omar will definitely be on.
Right.
And that's one thing that I was hoping Omar would be here for because
And Omar runs it.
yeah, Omar
this point.
runs Net Label
Right.
Day. Yeah. So it used to be run by Mist, and then I don't exactly know what happened, but they kind of burned out. And then Omar took it over, basically. And that's me paraphrasing like my understanding of the situation. So I don't know if Mist has ever said publicly what all was going on, but
And can you tell me a
Just-
little bit about Mist?
Mist is just a net label. They're
Okay.
based in, I think, Argentina. But Sam, you might know better than I do. Sam, so I don't know if you've picked up on this on our conversations, but Sam is my go-to net label. Like,
No, but I know Sam's here.
yeah, he's my net label guru.
Okay.
Not that I own him, but I feel as though Sam and I have a relationship, friendly relationship, such that if I need to go to him with net label questions, then
You have questions?
he will happily answer
Okay.
them. Missed.
Because
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the thing is that Sam and I listen to very different styles of music, and so there is some overlap, but why did I not go to the net label guide? That would have been the perfect place to go for
Chile.
this. Huh?
They're from Chile, it looks like.
Chile, that's right. I'll drop that in there for people too. But yeah, I don't know. Are they still doing stuff? Or are they done?
I'm not sure.
Their last Bandcamp release was in 2022, so that doesn't mean they're not doing anything, but they're kind of not doing anything on Bandcamp.
Well, I think
Yeah.
when I listened to your interview with Omar a few months ago, he mentioned that Mist had shut down, I think.
Oh yeah, we are no longer here. You can click here to find us again. What does that even mean? Oh, just to go to the new site. So yeah, Net Label Day 2021. Yeah, I don't know if they put it, Omar may have had some conversations with them, or maybe they posted to their Twitter or something. I don't know why my Firefox does that sometimes. My music stuff go.
And can you give me an understanding of, or is there a link maybe Net Label Day, big picture?
You know, I'm not Net Label Day guide. Net Label Day. I don't know if they have a like a about page. Yeah, he doesn't have up the 2024 stuff. Yeah, so I think the 24/7 internet radio was one of Omar's new things that he brought into it.
I think I listened to it last year.
Yeah, and then he's got
At least
the
part of it.
archives. Yeah, so there's all the archives. So it just started out as, you know, like a day to release music. Actually, there were, when it started out, there were like listening parties. I think there were some in Italy. Black Sonic's been involved since the beginning. And I guess Donnie wasn't doing it. I guess Donnie started in year 2 because it looks like Donnie was not on that piece. But a big part of Net Label Day at this point in its run is Donnie releases a track. Actually, Donnie did 2 tracks that year, but Donnie releases ever since he started in 2016. He hasn't missed a year, so that's sort of one of the Net Label Day traditions at this point. But you know, there's like so many different net labels. I'm sure a lot of them have different traditions, and this is part of the thing of like, you know, they may have traditions that I'm not aware about, you know, because like if they're like posting in Spanish, like,
Right.
I'm not going to all of these and like translating them. Because I mean, I'd love to, but like, I've never heard of these guys, Sioux Trails Records. That sounds like an awesome label. But this is actually a Russian label. I don't think they exist anymore. Why do you keep doing this, computer? Why do you keep jumping to the one? Yeah. So they ended in 2020. I used to love Southern Cities Lamb, but so yeah, you can't always tell where a place is from their name. But some good stuff in the archives there. But yeah, some of these I don't like. I never heard of these guys. I mean, I probably in 2016 I probably saw them. I don't know, but yeah, there's lots of stuff up there. But I think last year, I don't remember. I feel like Omar said that they were like that they had like a record for, I don't know if it was the most amount of releases or the most amount of net labels or what it was, but I feel like he said that there were some records last year. But I think so, you know, it never, I think there was an initial push, and then I don't know if it's kind of like along the same lines of the demise of CCHQ getting involved, or like with FMA, if things like, I'm not sure if there's like a broader trend or if all of those things are like directly connected, you know, like I mean, I'm not sure that CCHQ ever like announced like, hey, we're not doing music anymore, but Eric Stoyer leaving was probably, because Eric Stoyer used to be the music guy at CCHQ. Him leaving was probably a big deal. He's a Kickstarter now. But the FMA dying is, you know, like something that we have, like the sale to kick split. That's something that we have like a very clear date on. And then of course, you know, there was the Net Label Day was on some sort of decline. And how much of that is like pandemic weirdness, you know, like it's hard to like disentangle all this stuff. But we've definitely gotten to a place to where like people have decided that Omar obviously is doing it with Net Label Day, but I guess kind of the goal of us three being here is to sort of like bring some renewed enthusiasm into the scene.
So for Net Label Day, does he has contacts and all these different people and they reach out to him, or he has to scour it himself, or
they're submissions. So they're submitting specifically for Net Label Day. Yeah. So part of what he needs, if Net Label Day is to grow as far as submissions, part of what he'll need is help wrangling submissions now. And I don't know what Omar's, like language skills are, but again, like if he doesn't speak Chinese, it's going to be hard to like reach out to Chinese net labels. And the Indonesian net label scene is very strong. And we tried to interview when I was doing Music Manumet, tried to interview some of those guys, but the language barrier, God bless them, they try, but it's tough. And especially like, between you, and like this was like 10 years ago. So the internet's gotten better and computers have gotten better and stuff. So hopefully it would be better now. But the audio quality and the, if you've got somebody, speaking in their non-native language, and then you've got like, audio lag and stuff on top of it, it can be a lesson in patience. So I think Tom did a great, Tom's a very patient individual in general, so that was good.
Who's Tom? Sorry.
Tom Ray is the lead singer of Lorenzo's Music, and and he was the sort of the lead guy over at Music Manumet. He and I like kind of took on like divergent paths. When it started, we were doing like the talk show and the music show, but I started this punk show and this law show, so we were kind of doing different stuff. At some point I kind of just, Tom had a good rhythm with the recording, and he just took over the interviews, and I did the scheduling and the back end stuff. And so Tom he's started doing some more stuff on his Lorenzo's Music podcast. Like he had an interview with Donnie not long ago, and I don't know if we've got it on the maybe we've got it here. We tried a remix thing with them before, aren't we? Yeah, so this is the new one. So we're gonna release a remix thing of theirs on Net Label Day. So there's a lot of this is Tom here at the keys.
Right. I saw him in Milwaukee.
Yeah. New audio device detected. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of what is going into this now is, and and there was some overlap with the CCMA, and I think one of the reasons why that it's almost like a success, but we never quite figured out how to deal with it. And I think it's something that the scene is still dealing with. So many musicians are releasing Creative Commons music on Bandcamp, and like they don't know anything about it. It's just like a checkbox.
Okay.
And so that has really distorted the scene, because like it used to be like people were picking it because they were like-minded in their, like, you know, different reasons, but in some respect, you know, maybe people were more anti-capitalist, and maybe some people were just frustrated with the music scene, or more maybe people were like, you know, information, like, you know, like what's the word, like suffragists, you know, like the information must be free. So I mean, all of those things are kind of really like they're all ideological choices, you know, like there's a reason why that you want your, I mean, I think the scene has always been split among this, like, the professional musician and the amateur musician. There's a tension in what those groups need and want that I think that will be one of the important things for us long term to deal with, is to understand that we have so many different audiences. Like, we have the literal, like, you know, the music audience, the person listening, but we also have, but even that is split up because you have like live music and you have like digital music, but you have, you know, podcasters, you have video folks, and like podcasters and video folks used to be like big cheerleaders of the CC scene, and I think that has for whatever reason died away. Like I said, I don't really know. I mean, YouTube still does their thing where they still allow stuff to be CC BY, as far as, and Vimeo still allows the you know, different licenses as well. But, you know, we have the like completely amateur musician, we have the professional musician, and then we have these sort of like almost like gig economy types of folks, like people that you know, are interested in making music. Maybe it's, you know, for money, but it's maybe not also their full-time thing. Like, there's a lot of different audiences, and like the same things are like not needed by all of those folks. So that's a bigger discussion than what we need to get into today. But I do think that will be.
Did that line up with the change that you feel happened in the culture?
No, I mean, I think those things have always been there.
Okay.
But I just think that for us, it'll be good to, I mean, yeah, I mean, early on you had like 9 Inch Nails playing around with Creative Commons. So the whole Creative Commons, like, professional musician thing has been there since, I don't want to say exactly the beginning, but, you know, Creative Commons came about in the time of Napster, and, you know, there were the Metallicas of the world, and then there were the people that were like, you know, like, hey, the best thing for me to make music is for people to actually like hear my music, and the way for them to do that is to use Napster. So like there's always been that tension in the CC scene. Of course, you're making a decision when you're choosing CC that you want people to, at the very least, be able to share. But yeah, what that ultimately means to folks, and what sort of, like, you know, like, I know that you know, one of the things that getting people paid is one of the things that you're very interested in.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a large percentage of folks. This might actually be something that would be maybe like some sort of commissioning of a study or something would be something good for us to do. But I don't know what what percentage of the musicians are, but there's some number of musicians that just like doesn't care, and then I think a smaller minority actively doesn't want money to be involved. I think a lot of people are kind of like, yeah, I don't really care, but sure, if people want to pay me, great. But then there are those folks that just want it completely out of.
some of those people want to tour, or some of those people just want to drop stuff and don't, and they're just going to drop it anyway.
Yeah, I think, I mean, for some people, you know, like art is art, and they, you know, like they don't want their art tainted by you know, money. I think that's a pretty small but vocal minority, and maybe that's less of the case now. I mean, I think back when like Napster sort of like was the de facto, I think there was a certain like free spirit to things, but now like the zeitgeist is sort of like, you know, now it's all like streaming,
Right.
and like you know, like now if people are sort of like in that vein, it's like less like anti-money and more like anti-streaming, you know, like I think probably like the download your stuff, or but I think maybe everybody realizes that, like, not everybody, but a lot of people maybe realize that, like, you know, if you're going to host your own website, you know, then like that costs money, you know, like somebody somewhere has to like host those files. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of something like BitTorrent, is nobody has to do that. But like,
Right.
if nobody's BitTorrenting, then being on BitTorrent is useless. So, yeah, I haven't heard anybody, you know, maybe I'm just in different space now, I don't know, but it just seems like that's not really I hear a lot more people wanting to get paid now than I used to, and I don't know if that's because people realize, like, maybe it's because people feel like the tools are there, you know, and before they didn't feel like the tools were there, so rather than
The tools to
you
get
know,
paid, or the tools?
yeah.
Okay.
So maybe, like, you know, like if you don't envision a reality where that's possible, then, you know, like and you see
Right.
like the system is where people get paid,
Right.
and then, you know, this, you hear all these like you know, horror stories of the system like chewing people up and spitting them out, like maybe you just don't want anything to do with that at all. But I
Cobain
think,
just died. Yeah. Anyway. Sorry.
was that,
We just had the 30th anniversary of Cobain, which I kind of connect to some of that.
oh yeah, so
He knew what he wanted to do exactly, and he kind of got confused when it happened. So.
yeah. So yeah, again, I don't know, you know, I mean, the internet was a different place 20 years ago. So,
Right.
and that includes the music scene as well. You know, like Students for Free Culture, I don't know if that exists anymore. And yeah, I don't know. One thing that we could do, if we think that it would be useful to do before Net Label Day, and I think it might, is we could set up like just like a Q&A session. I don't know who all we would want to try to be there. It might be good. I don't have any. Maybe I'll write them on the agenda thing here. Just take some notes here. Where did my notes go? Here we go. All right, I'm down here at the bottom. So maybe we'll have like a musician, a Net Label person. I don't really know what to call them. A podcaster, maybe. At least one of all of those, maybe.
Well, like all the stuff you were. Go ahead, sorry.
I was just thinking, like, I can't type. I just thinking, like, you know, a musician may not. My experience has been, for the most part, the musicians are a little disconnected, not entirely, but the vast majority of them are, a little disconnected from the larger scene. You know, especially if they're, you know, if they're musicians and they're, you know, I mean, they're not full-time musicians. I think if you're a full-time musician, it's a little more important for you to be more connected with the things. So if you listen to the interviews with like somebody like Kevin MacLeod, who is, I guess strictly speaking, Kevin was not a full-time musician because like he did this like graph paper thing that was like 33% of his. He tried to do the like, I don't know what the business term is, but he got like a third of his revenue was from music commissions, a third of it was from licensing, and then he did this like graph paper thing. So it was like a third, and that way, if any one of the businesses, you know, was having a weak year, maybe one of the other sides could pull it up. But Chris Zabriskie, I don't know if he was a full-time musician, but he did a lot.
Yay.
All right, yeah. So sorry about that, anybody watching the recap. That is about at the limit that the old limit was on. So I don't know if they brought that back or not. But yeah, let's go back to here. So do you think having the Q&A before Net Label Day would be useful? I'm thinking it probably would be.
I mean, I want it on a website. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you know, we gotta set up a, you know, a time for people to show up and answer the questions, you know,
Right.
whatever questions that people have. So, you know,
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm not sure what the format, how to do that best is.
Yeah, I mean, what I would propose is we set up, you know, like a call like this, and then we, instead of like it being like a meeting, we just you know, it's a Q&A and people can kind of come and ask any questions they have of the CC folks. That might be something we could do on Net Label Day. I guess what I'm thinking about doing it before is like if we are arming you and others with information before Net Label Day, then if people have questions on Net Label Day, like they come into the stream and they ask questions, then people will be ready to like answer questions. So that's kind of my thought process for thinking about doing it before Net Label Day. And that's something we could do without taking Omar's time. So I'll see what I can do on that front. We got kind of into things with the elections, and I missed this at the beginning. So Rhino and I spoke to Emily over at CC Mixter, and I wanted you know, for Emily to like come and, you know, basically tell folks what, maybe I could see if I could get her on get somebody from CC Mixter on the Q&A. One of the things, if anybody listening or you guys that are here aren't familiar with CC Mixter, I think one of the great things about CC Mixter is, like the process of community is sort of built into their DNA. Like it's like the whole point of the site is collaboration. Yeah, I think that you get a real sense of community when you're working with folks. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to do a little bit with the remix stuff, you know, is to get people working together and, you know, like maybe presenting ideas that they wouldn't necessarily be presented with, but like CC Mixter does that all the time. What they said they needed anyway, getting back to my original point, what just happened there is they want somebody to work on the website, which it hasn't been updated in a long time. So That's probably something that I could help out with, but that's not something that I can do while like also doing this. So, it'll be a while, I guess, if we're looking at elections in 2025 before I can sit down and look at some PHP code. But
So what do they primarily do?
yeah, so if you go in here, you can see the remixes. So these are all like the named artist, but you can see here that so Rob is the artist that remixes Admiral Bob's Signum Magnum. So you can do, so they call them these PELs, the acapellas. So you can go in here and you can get a vocal track. So all of these would be vocal tracks that you could put a beat under. And then these are the various samples that you could get. You could use, so this one's got drums, guitars, and bass in it. And then on there, somewhere over here, they've got a, well, there's the find in the forums. So you can like, if you're looking for like a trumpet part or a trombone part or whatever, you could ask for parts wanted.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So a lot of these folks have been around for a long time, like Spinning Merkaba here has been individual I've seen on here for a long time, and they're doing apparently reviews here. That's another piece of this. But Emily is Snowflake. So I think so that used to be her. Her like stage name used to be just Snowflake, but she's changed it to Madam Snowflake. But I guess her username on the site is still Snowflake. And I don't know what sort of like reception they've gotten in the past, but I don't. But they used to put stuff up on here. I think it's been a while since they put anything up here. So I think that would probably, I don't know if this is something that like, one person over there was doing, or if they decided that they didn't want to do it anymore. I personally think this would be good marketing for them to be putting stuff up on,
totally,
on Bandcamp. But that may just be, they may, it's just like, they may need somebody to just like do the upload, I don't know, but I asked very explicitly because I was like, hey, I'd love to get, CC Mixter involved. And Emily's like, look, like we're strapped really thin. We can't. Yeah. I'm like, it's clear that I wasn't presenting what we were trying to do. Cause it's like, my whole point was to get her here so people could like, understand what CC Mixter was and like help them and understand why I think that like CC Mixter is like an important part of the community. I wasn't really like, presenting that to Emily well, but when she responded, I was like, well, what do you need? Like, I can just tell people what you need if you can't, be there to tell people what you need. And so, the website.
That's kind of my question with Omar and Net Label Day is, I mean, you guys have these contacts that we're not sure are 100% there still or used to be there. And that's what I'm trying to think of. Like, I don't know, how do we pull those all back and strengthen those connections to kind of, to lift up Friends of CC Music, right? Like,
yeah.
Like if there's still people submitting to Net Label Day, those people are still strong and concerned about it, right?
Right. Yeah. There's definitely. I mean, there's a lot of net labels that are still out there, and I don't know like how often we're like, adding new net labels here.
Okay.
But where is our? I guess this is just a list. Yeah, we don't have any dates or anything on here. So yeah, Mike would need to say something about that.
And Mike runs this page. Mike is I know I've heard
Yeah.
the name. Mike.
Yeah, Mike Gregoire.
Mike Reservoir.
Yeah, he's the guy. It's just Mike at blocksonic.com.
Okay.
But I think he might be a good person to get on my little Q&A. So yeah, I mean, he's strictly speaking also a musician, but I think Mike might be a good person for that, and I'm gonna see if I can't get Emily for that, but maybe she can send somebody else. I think Tom knows a lot of shit, and he's easy to talk to for me. I'm gonna reach out to Dave and Caroline and see. I'll have to actually. I know this makes my life the easiest.
All right.
So I'll reach out to these folks and see if we can't get something together. Yeah. So we gotta get Omar on here. But let's pick a time the three of us can be here, and then I will tell Omar to let me know if that works or not, because we got to have him sometime. 3 hours.
I'm pretty flexible. I mean,
no, go to that stupid birthday party. Actually, I do really need to go to that birthday party because I gotta figure out about my trip to France. I'm on call that week. The 5th, yeah, I'm out that Saturday. I mean, my initial thought is, hey, let's do it next week. But what do we think about the 5th?
the 5th of May.
Yeah, not for the Q&A, but for another meeting like this.
Sounds good.
But what we'll do is we'll make this one like a we'll do sync up. Get all on the same page of what we want to do. I'll go ahead and do Omar. I don't know what happened to Jason. I'll just invite Jason. And then, yeah, don't do this. We'll do here, unless Omar says he'd rather use something else.
Hey Sam, are you on the Fediverse at all?
The what?
Mastodon or?
No, I'm not on Mastodon.
Okay.
Is there anything specifically we wanted to talk about with Net Label Day? Largely, I want to hear from Omar, but is there anything you guys want to know about Net Label Day? The Q&A will be separate, which some Q&A stuff could be Net Label Day oriented too, but think that'll be a bigger picture.
So
I'm not
this-
sure if, I don't know, maybe Omar will be able to say like the guaranteed list of net labels that will be releasing something on that label day.
Will be the what? I heard guaranteed something.
Maybe Omar will have a list of guaranteed net labels that will be releasing something on that label day that you can share.
I don't think he'll have the guaranteed list
But-
by May.
I don't know.
This is more about like, questions about like how we could get involved. Or what were you thinking? Were you thinking to reach out? I guess what was maybe there's
Yeah.
something there, but
I don't know.
yeah, I think it's one of the things that I had in my head, and we can talk to Omar a bit about how we would do this is, the whole like what the hell is a net label thing that a lot of people don't understand, and just to sort of like not brand stuff as net label day, like to brand things as like as CC Music stuff, and it will be like so like like the CC Midwest Summit that I'm putting together, like we're doing it because of Net Label Day, but we're not calling it like a Net Label Day event. So I think that might be a way to like, bridge those Venn diagrams a little
Right.
bit.
I mean, that's what I feel horrible about, right? I mean, you realize that, like, net label doesn't mean much to me, right?
Yeah, well, no,
But I
I
know
mean,
the history for you guys, and I know probably the history, and it still is a big thing for all the people that are part of it. But to me, CC Music is what means something to me. I don't know how to, get over that, I guess.
Yeah, and you're not the only. I mean, people don't even know what labels do. So like, even just forget the whole net part of it. Like what is a label? Like people just don't understand.
Right.
So you've put like two terms together that people don't like. It's like layer upon a layer. So and it's it's like not even. I mean, it's almost like like what does it mean to be like white?
Right.
Like you could be white and you could be Spanish, you could be white and you could be Mexican, you could be white and be Brazilian, like whiteness is not like one unified, and is the same with blackness. You could be a Black American, you could be a Haitian, you could be so many things, and like net labels are kind of like that. Like a net label is whatever a net label is.
Okay.
And like there is some sort of like grand unifying theory. I mean, largely, and Omar, I think, has taken this to be I think Omar has sort of like said to hell with the Venn diagram. We're doing everything under Creative Commons.
Okay. Okay.
And I think largely, I don't have a problem with that. I think definitionally, it's a ahistorical definition. I mean, like net labels precede Creative Commons.
Okay.
So talking about Hazard Records, that it was around in 1998. And then there was a whole like French scene when like Creative Commons didn't work with like pre CC4. I think it was 4, maybe it's 3, but I'm pretty sure it's 4. CC didn't work with like French copyright law. So there was like a whole like kind of like extra CC scene that was like basically the same thing, but not quite the same thing. And that the whole Art Libre stuff with CC, that was all fixed. It was very like explicitly fixed. Like there was like clauses that allow people to like go back and forth. So that's not really a problem, but there is some historical context to that name. I don't think being under a Creative Commons license. It is the de facto though.
Right. Well, so it's kind of, I think we talked about this before, which is that, I mean, CC Music is maybe not even that clear. Like you had the Block Sonic example of, what does it say under the album kind of thing? It says,
Oh yeah.
I'm fine with you doing whatever you basically
Right.
playing this for other people kind of thing.
Yeah.
That to me is like, what I think most people would care about, I guess. And CC puts you in that box, which is awesome. But like, I have encountered people, on social media here who are like, well, yeah, oh, it's because I've said to them, like, I wish you would release it as CC Music. And they're like, well, I'm fine with you playing it on your show. And I'm like, well, I can't, okay. But like, I don't really want to deal with that, right? I want you to just say it's CC and then I can deal with it. And I don't know. So I get in that kind of box and I'm
Yeah.
like, just why can't we all just, like, CC is not and that's why I try to talk to you about like the legal stuff on it, because I'm like, if CC wasn't a big thing, then I would be like, okay, everybody just do it. But then I'm sure people are going to come back to me and say, well, here's why I can't do CC. Here's why I don't want to do CC. And I'm like, some people say, well, I don't want bad people to use my stuff. And I'm like, okay. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I don't want to find out that it's playing on some, evil website or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's a complicated topic, but I think that, I mean, ultimately it's like, if people want to do bad things, then, good luck if you think that, copyright law is going to protect you from that. So,
okay.
But, yeah, if you don't, I mean, if you're not planning on suing anyone, then you saying all things are all rights reserved is meaningless. So,
okay.
yeah, I mean, this is, yeah.
And then the thing is, like, if somebody's just making the music by themselves and then they put it up on Bandcamp, there's no label involved. So, I mean, to call it net label isn't even,
well, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, again, we're sort of getting back to the definition of label. And there's a long history of musicians like self-releasing,
right.
Like if you look at like the DC hardcore scene and, even like Jeff Rosenstock, like, with Really Records, like they're like doing something for their, like, hey, we want to release our own music. And then they're like, hey, we should put out our friends' records too. So I think that, I mean, you could, if you could afford like studio time and a press, like you could always do that, like there was nothing stopping you from like pressing a vinyl, like, but obviously it's easier now. And then the big shift is, like the distribution,
right.
So.
Well, that's why I'm obsessed with the, Funk Whale kind of idea, because to me that's like, because Spotify has such an advantage, like simplicity kind of idea.
Yeah.
And if we could be better than that, like that would be, so huge.
Yeah.
But equivalent, but even better than that.
Yeah.
And there was a guy, the Fedi Forum, which was like a conversation about the Fediverse. And there was a guy it was a bunch of panels, and there was a guy who did a panel on there. I think I shared him with you, but his name's Nuke, N00Q. You can find him.
Yeah.
But he brought up, like, he said, well, we need a decentralized version of Bandcamp. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, don't we think, and I was agreeing with him on, this is all kind of why Funk Whale isn't really designed for doing that. But then again, he's wanting to reinvent the wheel in so many of the pieces that, that they do, but they,
Yeah.
they don't do. Those are big obstacles. Those are big problems.
Right.
He comes out of was it Montreal or Detroit or something, and he was big on like, well, nobody, you know, in a scene, in a punk scene, and he was like, nobody cares about getting paid for the music, and so it's kind of what you were saying earlier, and I was like, I think there's lots of people like that, but I think if you really want to replace Bandcamp, you do have to have some way for people to get, because a lot of people do like, you know, that it's very easy to buy from Bandcamp and for them to get paid. And so it's
Yeah.
like you might have what you want, but you're not going to have that piece. And I'm big on the streaming part, which he doesn't seem to care about it much at all. And
I
it's
wonder, you know, I wonder if the streaming thing is like very expensive, and I think that's part of the big problem. But I do wonder, a lot of folks don't think that the Bandcamp like merch stuff is very good, and a lot of folks that use Bandcamp for distribution of the music use Big Cartel. I wonder if there is,
so they don't sell music on there either. You're saying
on
Bandcamp
where?
they
it's so there's like a merch section. So
separate from the music. You're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you can buy the vinyl and stuff like that.
Okay.
From what I understand from folks, and it's not very good. And I don't know. I'm not on the back end, so I don't know. Like, and maybe there's some learnings to be had as far as like, excuse me, why is it bad? But maybe there is some opportunity to have, like a place where Creative Commons musicians could sell merch. So, you know, they're not having to do like Bandcamp and Big Cartel. And like, you know, if you go to Big Cartel, like you don't, like there's nothing that like, you know, like they don't have any sort of like, I don't know, oops, that didn't go where I wanted it to go. Like I don't even know if they have like search here. Like usually it's people being pointed to like a what's happening? It's like I'm scrolling too much or something. Like I don't even know if they have like a way to like search.
Oh,
But maybe
top.
what was that?
There was a search right on the main page on the top, but I don't know if it's any good.
Yeah, I wonder if this is for bands or for, I mean, they got store examples.
Right.
Yeah, so this, I think, I mean, they're really kind of focused, I think, on like giving folks like their own site, which is useful,
Right.
fine, but we can see some Wisconsin merch. The Wisconsin plate left. But yeah, obviously they have stuff besides bands. Yeah, and maybe it's just the like here, you know, like the pictures are big. I mean, they're not huge, but like, you know, if we go back here, it's like the pictures are tiny. What is this shirt? I can't even tell what's on it. And then I click on it. It's like still kind of not very big.
Right.
Oh, now we know it's a forest and a guy walking in it, you know, like,
right.
Whereas like here, like, I mean, obviously this is not a shirt, but like, yeah, the pictures are big enough you can see. I just wonder if there's a place where we could, where, you know, like, I don't know what you'd call it, like ccgoods.com or something like that, where people could come and they would, you know, like, I don't know. I think the streaming thing it's tough because there's already like competitors in the CC streaming space, and then just like to pay for itself. Yeah,
Well,
I don't know.
But that's what's so intriguing to me about what Funk Whale is doing, because they seem to have it, right?
Do
like,
they though? I mean, didn't you say one of those instances costs like $3,000 a month or something?
No, I don't know. I didn't find out how much.
Oh, maybe that was Mastodon. Somebody's saying it was $3,000 a month.
But I'm
Uh,
yeah, it's probably. But but you can stream from like Block Sonic, right?
Well, it's not. I mean, people have uploaded some of the Block Sonic catalog. Oh, you're saying from the Block Sonic homepage, people can stream? Is that
Yeah.
what- yeah, people can stream from the website. I don't know how many people actually do that, but
But that's what I'm thinking, right? So like that, I don't know how all the back end works, but that's what I'm wondering about is if you have a okay.
we don't have like a like a Block Sonic radio. Like it's not really designed to just like sit and listen. So, I mean, if
Right.
you want to.
So people aren't just going to do it, even though you could, and that would, if they did it, it would cost you guys a lot.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to. It would be
Okay.
really expensive, but all of the I'll just pick this one. Actually, that's gonna play the actual like. So clicking on any of these will like bring up the radio.
Okay.
But I was gonna say you could if you go to the the page for any of these, you can just if you start playing here, then it'll play through the album. And then we have the charts as well. So you could listen to the charts. The way that this works is it'll load up this album and not the whole chart.
Okay.
Which maybe that's the way that should work. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Oh yeah, and then they got the ad to Starfrost. If you're not familiar with Starfrost, then that's another place to go and check things out.
Oh no.
We have like a
Okay.
yeah. So here I'll drop this in the chat. I don't know, just that was just something to think about on the and again, maybe that's something that we need to figure out what musicians actually need.
Right.
So, but yeah, at some point after I think Net Label, well, maybe not after Net Label Day. Maybe it'd be good to think about it before Net Label Day. But yeah, we need to just think about our audiences and maybe think about like which audiences we want to. Well, maybe so. I guess Net Level Day is primarily currently positioned towards listening and releases. So maybe it makes sense to sort of think about focusing on the audience as our primary constituent, at least for the next couple of months. And then, so I guess we would think about maybe the musician more sort of led sources. I mean, not that they're completely like separated, like if you
Sure.
have a audience forward thing that, leaves the musicians out, then where are they going to get their music from? But I think as a focus, it might make sense to sort of like focus on the music listener. And that's because that's probably who we're going to appeal to the most on Net Label Day. So, yeah. All right. We've been going for a minute here, so I will. I'll try to get something together with these folks, but I know backups for all of these if need be. Maybe not CC Mixter, but maybe Emily can provide. Well, that's not true. I mean, there's Kara. I know Kara, but this is the one that will be the hardest. So anyway, I'll work on that. and then yeah, we'll get that promoted and get people asking questions, and then we'll see. Hopefully everything's okay with Omar, because I had asked him if he was coming and he said yes. So yeah, hopefully he'll be able to do that on the 5th, but if not, I'll send that meeting invite out to you guys for the new time. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Yeah. Have a good one.